My wife said she was working late every Thursday for 4 months. I sent her lunch one Thursday. The office was empty. She wasn't there. And the security guard told me something that made my stomach drop before I even got back to my car. Before I get into this, if you're into stories where the guy actually does something about it instead of just crying into a pillow for 6 months, hit subscribe now because this one gets messy fast and you don't want to miss the updates. Okay, let me back up. I'm Nathan, 33, married to Priya, 31, together 7 years, married 5. We met in grad school, both of us broke and stressed and living off instant noodles, and somehow we made it work all the way to a mortgage and 2 decent careers. She works in marketing for a mid-sized logistics company. I do project management for a construction firm. Nothing glamorous, just a normal life, or so I thought. About 4 months before all this, Priya came home and told me her company was rolling out a new client onboarding system, and she'd been voluntold to help lead the transition. Translation: extra hours. Specifically, Thursdays. Every single Thursday, she'd be staying late at the office, sometimes until 9, sometimes later, working with the IT team and a couple people from the client-facing side to get the new system tested before launch. I didn't think twice about it. I've had projects like that. Deadlines don't care about your dinner plans. I told her I'd keep dinner warm or just order something for myself, and life went on. Week 1, she texted around 6:30. Running late. This system is a nightmare. Don't wait up. Week 2, same thing. Week 3, she came home around 9:45, smelling like coffee and complaining about a coworker named Chad, who apparently couldn't format a spreadsheet to save his life. I laughed. I made her tea. I asked if I could help in any way, bring her food, anything. She said no, it's fine, almost done with this phase. This went on for a full month before I even noticed a pattern outside of "she's busy." By month 2, I noticed she started getting ready differently on Thursdays. New perfume. Actual makeup for what was supposedly a night of staring at spreadsheets with IT guys. I mentioned it once, just casually. "You look nice for spreadsheet night." She laughed it off. "Gotta look professional, Nathan. We have client calls sometimes." Fine. Reasonable enough. By month 3, the Thursday calls and texts got shorter. Less detail. Just working late, don't wait up, with no elaboration. When I'd ask how the project was going, I'd get vague answers. Almost done. Still testing. You wouldn't understand the technical stuff. That last one stung a little, NGL, because I've sat through her explaining spreadsheet macros to me for 40 minutes before. Suddenly I wouldn't understand? Month 4 is when the itch in the back of my head turned into something louder. Here's the thing that actually got me moving. My coworker's wife also works reception at Priya's company. Small world, right? We were at a barbecue and she mentioned, offhand, "Oh, is Priya's team still doing that big onboarding project? I feel like I haven't seen the conference rooms booked out that late in weeks." I said, "Yeah, she's there every Thursday until like 9 or 10. She gave me this look. Just a little pause. Huh, weird. The building's usually cleared out by 7 on Thursdays. Half the office does happy hour that day." I didn't say anything else about it, but I didn't forget it either. So I made a plan. Not a dramatic one, just simple. The next Thursday, I decided I was going to surprise her with dinner at the office. Bring her favorite Thai food, something sweet for the team, be the supportive husband showing up with food for the late-night warriors. Nothing suspicious about that. If everything was exactly what she said it was, this would just be a nice gesture. If it wasn't, well, I'd find out. I told no one. Not even my brother, who usually gets updated on everything within an hour. I wanted to see for myself first. That Thursday, I left work a little early, picked up her favorite pad, CU, and some spring rolls, plus extra containers in case the team was actually there. Drove to her office building downtown. Parked. Walked in around 7:15. The lobby was dead quiet. One security guard at the desk, an older guy named Walter, reading something on his phone. I told him I was there to drop off dinner for my wife's team. They're working late on a project. He looked at me a little confused. "Which company, sir?" I told him. He typed something, checked a screen. Building's actually pretty cleared out tonight. Let me check who's still badged in. He checked. Nobody. 0 employees from her company had badged in after 5:47 that evening. Not her. Not the IT guys. Nobody. I stood there holding a bag of pads, see you like an idiot. You sure? I asked. He turned the screen toward me, like he could tell I needed to see it with my own eyes. Badge log, time-stamped, her company's floor. Last entry, 5:47 p.m., a name I didn't recognize, clocked out. Actually, Walter said, scratching his head, now that you mention it, I don't think I've seen your wife's badge swipe on a Thursday evening in a while. I remember her because she always says hi, real friendly. But Thursdays specifically? Nah. I clock out at 8 most nights, and I'd remember if that floor was lit up. I thanked him, left the food with him, actually, told him to enjoy it since I wasn't going to need it. Walked back to my car and sat there for probably 20 minutes without starting the engine. Where was my wife? I called her. Straight to voicemail. Texted, "Hey, bringing you food. Are you guys in a different conference room?" No response. I sat there running through every version of a reasonable explanation. Maybe they moved to a coffee shop to work. Maybe the project shifted to a different building. Maybe she left early for a doctor's appointment and forgot to tell me. Or maybe she'd been lying to me for 4 months. I drove home. She wasn't there, obviously, since she was supposedly still working. I didn't sleep much, honestly. Made a pot of coffee I didn't need and just sat at the kitchen table, doing what my brain does best when I'm stressed, making a spreadsheet. I know. Apparently, I'm just as much of a spreadsheet person as the mysterious Thursday night IT guys. But I opened one up and started listing every Thursday for the past 4 months. Every excuse she'd given, every late arrival, every changed routine. She got home at 10:20 that night. I heard her keys in the door and just sat there at the table, coffee mug in hand, laptop open. "Hey," she said, dropping her bag by the door like normal. "Sorry, that project ran long again." "Which conference room were you in?" I asked. Calm voice, not accusing yet, just curious. "What?" "The usual one. 3rd floor." "Interesting," I said, "because I brought you dinner tonight. Pad, see you, your favorite. Security said nobody from your company badged in after 5:47. Her face didn't fall immediately. That's the part that got me. She actually tried to keep going. Maybe the system glitched, or I used the side entrance. Sometimes we. Priya. I looked at her. There's no side entrance. I checked. I asked Walter, the security guard who knows your name because you say hi to him every day. He told me he hasn't seen your badge on a Thursday night in weeks. Silence. A long one. "I can explain," she finally said. "Please do," I said. "I've got all night. I'm apparently not working late anywhere." She sat down across from me, and for a second I actually thought I was about to get the truth. Instead, I got, "It's not what you think." "That's what people say right before it's exactly what I think," I said. She started crying, which, fine, people cry. But I'd learned enough about this particular pattern to not immediately soften. I've just been under a lot of stress. I needed some time to myself. I didn't want you to worry. "Time to yourself where?" I asked. Because it wasn't at the office. More silence. "I've been seeing someone," she said. Finally. There it is. Turns out, the IT project was a guy named Marcus, who I later learned wasn't even employed by her company. He was a personal trainer she'd started seeing at the gym she joined for stress relief right around the same time this whole Thursday thing started. Small world, huh? She'd been meeting him every Thursday, sometimes at his place, sometimes at a hotel, and using the big project at work excuse to cover 4 solid months of it. I didn't yell, didn't throw anything. I just closed my laptop, looked at her, and said, "Okay, thanks for finally telling the truth. Sleep in the guest room tonight." She tried to argue, tried to say we could work through it, tried the whole "it just happened" line, which 4 months of consistent Thursday scheduling doesn't really scream, it just happened to me. But okay, I went to bed, didn't sleep, started making calls the next morning. Update 1, 1 week later. First call was to a divorce attorney a coworker had recommended a while back, half jokingly, when I mentioned Priya's weird Thursday schedule at lunch one day. Guess it wasn't so half joking after all. Her name's Denise, sharp as anything, doesn't waste time. First meeting, I laid out everything. The badge logs, the screenshots I'd taken of Walter's screen with my phone, because yes, I photographed it before I even left the lobby. Some instinct told me to document it. The timeline spreadsheet. The confession. Denise actually smiled a little. You built a paper trail before you even confronted her. That's rare. Most people come in here with feelings and no evidence. You came in with feelings and a spreadsheet. I'm a project manager, I said. Documentation is kind of my whole personality. She laid out the plan. Since we live in a no-fault state, the affair itself wouldn't dramatically change asset division on paper, but it would matter for a few things. Credibility in court if things got contentious, and any joint funds spent on the affair, which, surprise, there were some. Turns out, Priya had used our joint credit card for 2 girls' night charges that were actually hotel rooms. Denise said that mattered. Dissipation of marital assets. Courts don't love it when people spend shared money funding an affair. I also mentioned my woodworking business. I've been building custom furniture on the side for about 6 years, since before we got married, actually, and it's grown into a decent little operation. I have a workshop in our garage, a small LLC, tools I've bought and maintained meticulously, and clients who pay me directly. Denise's ears perked up. Is any of that commingled? Joint accounts? Joint purchases for tools? No, I said. Separate business accounts since day one. I kept it separate on purpose because I didn't want it getting complicated if anything ever happened. Guess that instinct paid off. Good, she said. Keep every receipt, every invoice, every tool purchase record. We'll want to establish that as separate property early. I spent that weekend doing exactly that. Cataloged every piece of equipment in my workshop, every client contract, every bank statement showing the business account had never touched our joint funds. Priya was staying at her sister's to give us space, which honestly was fine by me, gave me the whole house to work in peace. Her mother called me Tuesday. I actually answered, mostly out of curiosity. Nathan, this is ridiculous. She made one mistake. You're going to throw away 7 years over this? She made one mistake every Thursday for 4 months, I said. That's not a mistake. That's a schedule. People make mistakes when they're unhappy. Then she should have told me she was unhappy instead of telling me she was in a conference room with IT guys. Her mother didn't have a great response to that. She tried a few more angles. You two were so good together. She's devastated. Can't you just go to counseling? And I told her, politely, that all future conversations needed to go through my attorney. Then I blocked the number, because I could already tell where this was headed, and I didn't need a peanut gallery. Priya texted a lot that week. Some apologies, some anger when I didn't respond fast enough. A few attempts to explain that Marcus understood her in ways I apparently didn't. I screenshotted everything and sent it straight to Denise, who told me, correctly, not to engage. By the end of week 1, I'd filed. Papers were served at her sister's house. According to her sister, who I actually still get along with fine, Priya cried for a full hour and then immediately called Marcus, who apparently did not answer. Update 2, 3 weeks in. This is where it got genuinely ridiculous. Turns out, Marcus, the personal trainer, had a few other clients he was seeing on a very similar Thursday-adjacent schedule. I found this out because his actual girlfriend, who I didn't even know existed until this point, found my number through a mutual friend of a mutual friend, one of those 6 degrees of small city situations, and messaged me. Her name was Ashley. She'd been with Marcus for almost 2 years and had no idea he had a rotating cast of Thursday appointments that weren't, in fact, deadlift form corrections. I just found out about your wife 2 days ago, she told me over the phone, voice shaking with what I recognized instantly. because I'd been there myself 3 weeks earlier. There's apparently at least one other woman, too. He's been doing this the whole time we've been together. We ended up trading information, mostly out of morbid curiosity and a shared sense of, wait, is this guy running some kind of operation? Turns out, yes, kind of. He worked at a gym with a rotating client base of bored, unhappy, financially comfortable clients, and Thursday evenings were apparently his designated off day from the actual gym schedule, which he used exclusively for exactly this. Ashley forwarded me a few screenshots from his phone, which she'd apparently had access to for a while. Their relationship had its own trust issues, clearly, including one that said, verbatim, about Priya. She keeps saying she's going to leave her husband, just needs the right moment. I forwarded that straight to Denise. She actually laughed out loud on the phone. This is almost too good. Keep this exact message. We might not need it for asset division since it's a no-fault state, but if she tries to claim in a deposition that this was some spontaneous one-time thing, this text destroys that in about 4 seconds. The deposition happened about 5 weeks in. Denise walked me through the plan beforehand. Answer honestly. Don't volunteer extra. Let her lawyer's questions dig their own hole. Priya's lawyer tried to frame me as the villain of the piece, somebody controlling who drove her into another man's arms through neglect. Classic move, I guess. Mr. Whitfield, isn't it true you worked long hours and left your wife feeling isolated? I worked normal hours, I said. 9 to 5. Occasional overtime during big projects, same as most people. My wife worked normal hours too, until she started telling me she worked until 9 or 10 every Thursday, which was a lie. You can't know for certain it was a lie every single time. Actually, I can. I have 4 months of badge logs from her office showing she didn't badge in after 6 p.m. on a single Thursday during that period. I have that documented. Her lawyer moved on quickly. Then it was Priya's turn. You told your husband you were working late on Thursdays. Was that true? Long pause. Not always. How many Thursdays, out of the 16 or so during this period, were you actually at work? I'm not sure exactly. Would you say 0? Another pause. Possibly. And where were you instead? With a friend. Is that friend Marcus Delgado? Her face did the thing faces do when they know they've been caught but are trying to buy 3 more seconds of denial. We're close, yes. Were you and Mr. Delgado in a romantic relationship during this 4-month period? Yes. Did you use joint marital funds, specifically a shared credit card, to pay for hotel rooms during this period? Silence. I have the statements here if you'd like me to read the charges into the record. Yes, I did. Denise, sitting next to me, did not smile, because lawyers are professional like that, but I definitely felt the energy shift in the room. Then came the text message. Denise brought it up carefully, framed it as relevant to the dissipation of assets question. Ma'am, are you familiar with a message sent from Mr. Delgado's phone stating, quote, she keeps saying she's going to leave her husband, just needs the right moment? Priya's lawyer objected on relevance grounds. Judge allowed it anyway, said it went to credibility and timeline. Priya didn't have a good answer for that one, just sat there, quiet, while her lawyer tried to move the deposition along as fast as possible. Somewhere in between the deposition and the financial filings, Priya's sister, Anjali, actually reached out to me directly, separate from her mother's earlier attempts. Unlike her mom, she didn't call to guilt me. She called to apologize, actually, which caught me off guard. I need you to know I didn't know either, she said. She told me she was stressed about work. I believed her. I feel like an idiot. You're not the one who lied, I told her. You don't owe me an apology. I still feel like I should have noticed something. She started going to that gym around the same time all this started. I thought it was just a stress thing. New Pilates class, new personal trainer, whatever. I didn't put it together. None of us did, I said. That's kind of the whole point of lying well. You don't get caught unless something forces the issue. She asked, hesitantly, what actually gave it away, and I told her the whole story. The barbecue comment from my coworker's wife, the pad C, you, Walter, and the badge logs. She actually laughed, a tired kind of laugh. Of course it was a security guard and some pad C. You. That's so anticlimactic and also somehow exactly right. We ended up talking a while longer than either of us probably expected. She mentioned Priya had been staying with her on and off, cycling between denial, anger, and what Anjali described as aggressive main character energy, posting cryptic quotes about growth and betrayal on social media that everyone in the family found simultaneously exhausting and a little embarrassing given the actual facts of the situation. I didn't comment much on that. Not my circus anymore, as a wiser man than me once said. A few days later, Priya tried a different tactic entirely. She showed up unannounced at my workshop, not the house this time, the actual garage where I do my woodworking, which felt like a deliberate choice, like she was trying to catch me somewhere sentimental. She stood in the doorway while I was sanding down a table leg and said, "This place still smells the same. Priya, you can't just show up here. I just wanted to see it again. You've always loved this space more than anything. That's an interesting thing to bring up right now." She looked around at the half-finished pieces, the tools lined up neatly on the pegboard, 6 years of quiet, steady work that had absolutely nothing to do with her. "I used to be proud of this, you know, telling people my husband builds furniture by hand. It made you sound so, I don't know, grounded." "Funny," I said, not looking up from the table leg. "I used to be proud of a lot of things about you too. Guess we're both revising our highlight reels." She didn't have much to say to that. Stood there a moment longer, then left without another word. I finished the table leg. Didn't think about it again until Denise asked, during a routine check-in call, whether there'd been any unsanctioned contact I should document. I told her about the visit. She sighed the particular sigh lawyers give when a client is being too reasonable for their own good. "Next time, just text me immediately. We want a clean record if this ever needs to support a no-contact request." There wasn't a next time, thankfully. I think that visit was less about reconciliation and more about closure on her end. A last look at a version of her life she'd already burned down herself. Update 3, 7 weeks in. The financial stuff, if you're wondering, went about as smoothly as it could have. My woodworking business, fully documented as separate property with 6 years of clean, separate financial records, stayed mine, completely untouched, which honestly felt like the biggest win of the whole thing given how much of myself I've put into it. The house, which we bought together during the marriage, we agreed to sell and split proceeds. Simple enough. No drama there since neither of us particularly wanted to fight over a mortgage. Her lawyer tried, briefly, to argue that some of my client relationships developed during the marriage and therefore some value should be considered marital. Denise shut that down fast with 6 years of tax filings showing the business predated the marriage and had always operated through a separate LLC and separate account. The judge didn't even need much convincing. Where things got messy was the credit card debt. Turns out those girls' nights weren't the only charges. There were a few more, smaller, spread out, gas for driving to Marcus's apartment, a couple dinners, one particularly bold charge for a hotel that had couples massage package listed right there in the itemized receipt. All total, a little over $3,000 in what Denise's filing called expenditures related to an extramarital relationship incurred without the knowledge or consent of the petitioner. Courts in our state don't automatically punish for affairs, but they do care about money quietly disappearing from a joint account to fund one, and the judge agreed that amount should come off Priya's share of the house proceeds. Small victory, but a satisfying one. Her mother tried one more approach around this time, an email this time instead of a call, saying I was being needlessly cruel by airing dirty laundry in court, and that Priya's career could be affected if word got out about the deposition. I didn't respond to that one either, just forwarded it to Denise, who said, correctly, that nothing in a standard divorce filing becomes public knowledge in a way that would affect anyone's career unless someone specifically went looking for court records, which, fair enough, not my problem if someone does. Priya tried to reach out directly one more time too, showed up at the house while I was moving some of my workshop equipment into a storage unit ahead of the sale. Asked if we could talk, really talk, not through lawyers. "There's nothing to talk about," I told her. You had 4 months of Thursdays to tell me the truth. You chose 4 months of lies instead. I panicked, she said. I didn't know how to end it, and then it just kept going, and I didn't know how to stop. That's not panic, I said. Panic is one bad decision. This was a routine. You had a schedule. You picked an outfit for it. She didn't have a response to that. Do you even regret it? I asked, or do you just regret getting caught? She didn't answer that one either, which honestly told me everything. Final update, 3 months later. Divorce finalized last week. Judge signed off on everything. House sale proceeds split with her share reduced by the documented affair-related spending. My business fully protected as separate property. No spousal support on either side given the relatively even incomes and short enough marriage. Clean, quiet, done. The Marcus situation apparently imploded spectacularly on its own, which I only know because Ashley, his actual girlfriend, kept me loosely updated out of what I think was mutual solidarity. Turns out there was at least one more woman in his Thursday rotation besides Priya, a fact that came out when Ashley finally checked his phone thoroughly enough. She left him for good about a month after everything came out. Priya, from what her sister mentioned in passing at a mutual friend's engagement party I happened to also be at, tried to keep things going with Marcus for a few weeks after the divorce filing before he ghosted her entirely. Imagine being lied to and cheated on and then also getting ghosted by the guy you blew up your marriage for. Rough month for her, honestly, though I can't say I lost much sleep over it. I moved into a small rental with a proper garage setup for the workshop, actually bigger than what I had before, more room to expand the business, which has genuinely been thriving since I've had more time and headspace to focus on it without, in retrospect, a marriage quietly falling apart in the background every Thursday. Walter, the security guard, by the way, still remembers me. I stopped by that office building a few weeks after everything to drop off a thank you gift, a nice bottle of whiskey, because honestly, the man's casual mention of a badge log changed the entire trajectory of my life. He laughed when I told him the whole story. Man, I just checked a screen. Didn't think I was solving a whole marriage that night. I told him he absolutely did, and he earned that whiskey fair and square. My brother asked me recently if I felt any relief now that it's fully over, or if I was still angry. Told him honestly, it's mostly relief. Not the dramatic, vindictive kind, just the quiet kind. Like finally setting down something heavy I didn't realize I'd been carrying every single Thursday for 4 months without knowing it. I've started seeing someone new. Actually, nothing serious yet. A woman I met through a client who commissioned a dining table from me. She thinks the whole story is unbelievable when I tell her, especially the part where I documented everything in a spreadsheet before I even confronted anyone. You really are a project manager through and through, she told me, laughing. Guess some habits pay off in ways you don't expect. If there's a lesson in all this, it's a simple one. Trust your gut when something doesn't add up. If someone's schedule suddenly changes and their explanations get vaguer instead of more detailed, that's worth paying attention to. Document things quietly before you confront anyone, because emotions in the moment can make you say things you can't take back, but a clean paper trail can't be argued with. And if you ever do bring your spouse dinner at an office where they supposedly are, and the security guard tells you nobody's badged in for weeks, trust that man. He has no reason to lie to you. As for me, Thursdays are just Thursdays again now. No mystery, no spreadsheet cross-referencing, no pit in my stomach around 6 p.m. Just a normal evening, usually spent finishing up a client order in the garage with a podcast playing in the background. Exactly the kind of boring, uneventful life I actually wanted all along. If you made it this far, thanks for sticking with the whole story. If you enjoyed it, make sure you're subscribed so you catch the next one, because trust me, there are more of these where this came from, and they only get wilder from here.